Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome, my name's Randy. I love everything crochet, and if you love everything crochet, you should definitely subscribe and hang around, especially if you love making characters, because I have a lot of videos already done and I have a lot more to come. Today, my sweatshirt gives away what we'll be making, which is the little white Totoro. Now, I will start by stating his eyes are not right. But I didn't realize till after that his eyes just did not fit him. I don't know if I made them too far apart. I don't know if I needed to add detail, but other than that, I think the body is pretty good for him. So if you don't like the eyes, just don't follow what I said and do your own thing to make him look better. But if you love Studio Ghibli and Totoro, I also have a blue one that we made quite a few months ago. His face is a little covered by fluff right now. So I have this tutorial, and I have even better the biggest one, which he is very well loved in this house. So his little ears are kind of going down, and he looks a little angry right now because his fuzz is also covering his eyes. But I have a tutorial for all three now, and I do have more Studio Ghibli ones I will be making hopefully pretty soon. I already have planned out, I think, my next one I will be making, potentially my next two. So if you're interested, definitely subscribe and stay tuned. But we're not making him today or the blue one. Like I said, the tutorials are already posted. Today we'll be making the little one. So let's go ahead and get started. And before I do, I did use single crochet on the whole thing. I always forget to say it, I don't know why. As well as I always forget to say, you should go follow my Instagram, it's linked down below. And everything I used is also written down below. But let's go ahead and get started. So for our project today, I will be using Premier Little Bunny yarn. This is just in the color white. This is my favorite fluffy yarn because it's very easy to work with. It's super soft and I think it looks great. You'll also need some scissors. I will be using a 5mm hook, which you cannot see that, but there you go, you can. You'll need a stitch marker and a crochet needle. Is that what this, a yarn needle, whatever that is called. This is a low sew because you only have to sew on the 2 ears, but you still have to sew. So you'll need that. We'll need this, and this is very important, at least if you are someone who uses them. If you're not, I'm very jealous of your skills. But we are going to start by doing our magic ring. And I'm not very good at the magic ring, so I do a starting chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I go into my first stitch and pull through for a circle. You really cannot see, that's the unfortunate part about using fluffy yarn, but I do have a hole there, and I'm going to put 8 stitches into that center hole. So that's my first one. I'm gonna go ahead and mark it because especially with like white, black, anything that's not like a bright color, is very hard to see your stitches. And then I'm gonna unweave this a little bit. Then we'll do 2. You'll want to try and make sure these are nice and loose. 3, 4, 5. Oops. Actually, I think I'll only do 6 because I am doing a smaller piece. So I did 6 stitches into my center ring. And now I'm going to go into my first stitch from my last round. I normally leave my stitch marker in there so I can, sometimes I will if I can get in there. So we'll go into our first stitch from the last round, pull our yarn through for 1 stitch, then I'll go back into that same stitch a second time. So I'll put 2 stitches into 1, and then for my next one, I will put 2 stitches into 1. So 1, then I go back in there and put a second stitch. My next stitch, I go in once, then I go back into that stitch for a second stitch. basically doubling our stitch count. So we had 6 before, and this time we should have 12. So 1, then 2. 1, then 2, repeating that pattern all the way to the start. And after you have your 12 stitches for the last round, we're going to go back into our first stitch. I'm going to mark my stitch, and then once again for our first stitch we will be doubling up, so I'll go back into that one for our second. Then our next stitch we'll just do a single stitch, then we'll do 2 stitches into 1, so 1, go back into that one for a second one, then a single stitch, then 2 stitches into 1, then a single stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around. For the next round, we are going to put 2 stitches into our first. So 1, then back into that stitch for a second, and then 2 single stitches. So 1, then go into the next for 2, and then 2 stitches into the next. It won't fight me, there we go. Go back in, and then 2 single stitches. And we'll repeat that pattern all the way around. The next round we'll put 2 stitches into the first, then 1, 2, 3 single stitches, then 2 stitches in the next, then 1, 2, 3 single stitches, repeating all the way around. For the next round we'll put 2 stitches in the first, then 1, 2, 3, 4 single stitches, then 2 stitches the next, then 1, 2, 3, 4 single, repeating all the way around. The next round we'll put 2 stitches in the first, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single stitches, then 2 stitches into the next, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, repeating all the way around. After the last round, we are going to be staying the same. So we'll just be putting a single stitch in every stitch all the way around. I will do this, count how many rounds of single stitches I do, and then I'll jump back in here and let you know how many you'll want to do, but we'll just be putting a single stitch in every stitch for this amount of rounds. I did 12 rows in total of staying the same. And now the shape I think would be a little bit better if you widened at the bottom, but just for simplicity I stayed the same. And now we're going to reduce to flatten the bottom here and then seal our piece. So to reduce, we're just going to do the opposite of what we had done before, which was instead of putting 2 stitches into 1, we're going to reduce 2 stitches into 1. So we'll pull through our first stitch, then pull through our second stitch, making 1 stitch instead of 2. I'm going to give myself some yarn here, and then we're going to do 5 single stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then reduce 2 stitches, go into the first, go into the second, into 1, then 5 single stitches, repeating all the way around. I'm also going to go ahead and add the eyes. I think if you really want to make it look true to the character, you'd want to take like some acrylic yarn and make circles of white and then add these. But just for, once again, making this a simpler project, I'm just going to use 12mm black safety eyes on it, and I think once it has its ears, it will really show the character. I also spread the eyes out a little bit more than in the last clip. I think that looks more true to the character. But for the next round, we will reduce 2 stitches into 1. So weave through the first, go through the second, putting 2 stitches into 1, making 2 stitches 1. And then we'll do 4 single stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll reduce 2 stitches, making them 1. And then 4 single stitches, repeating the pattern all the way around. For the next round, I'm going to reduce 2 stitches into 1, then 1, 2, 3, then reduce 2 stitches down into 1, 1, 2, 3, repeating all the way around. For the next round, we'll reduce 2 stitches into 1, then 1, 2 single stitches, then reduce 2 into 1, then 1, 2 single stitches, repeating all the way around. For the last round we'll reduce around every stitch, so we'll put 2 stitches into 1, make 2 stitches into 1, make 2 stitches into 1, make 2 stitches into 1, all the way around. After the last round, you'll take your crochet needle wherever I put mine, weave through and pull tight to seal the end. You want to weave back and forth just like so. Even when a small hole like this, you can weave all the way across back and forth because it will very quickly seal it up. I have a nice long piece because I want to keep it, because I am also going to add a tail, as well as sometimes you can get these like openings from reducing, so you can kind of like weave through and seal those with this nice long piece. But now we'll get to the tail and the ears. I'll be honest, I should have put the eyes on this side because this side is slightly like wider. I don't know how much you can tell, but that's okay. The eyes, we have committed to them. We are now going to do the ears, which are like simple, but it's like a couple extra, it's kind of like, I don't know. We'll just go through it slowly, step by step here. They sound more complicated than they are. We're gonna do a starting chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I don't like to go into the first stitch, so we're going to do a single crochet row of 4. So 2, 3, and once we get in there, 4. Then we're going to flip our work. We're going to go into the first stitch and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go into this end one a second time, so 5, and then we're going to do an extra single crochet stitch for a total of 6 stitches. So you'll do 4 across, add an extra single stitch into the end one, making it 5 stitches, then a single stitch on the end. Then we'll go into our 5th one here. Do 1, go into the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll flip our work and just do another row of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once you do that, you will pull your yarn and then stitch. So we'll take our yarn needle here, go on the one end. Basically, you'll want to fold your work in half, and then we'll just pull the yarn back and forth through, if the needle here wants to work with me. We'll just weave back and forth through until our ear is stitched shut on both before we attach them. Now this part you technically don't have to do. I am going to add a tail for him, so I'm going to do a starting chain of 5, flip and do a single crochet row of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm kind of going to do something similar to the ears, but I don't want it to be as tall. Once I get my 4th one in here. And so we'll flip our work and do 5 this time. 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go back into the last stitch and do a 5th one. And we're going to flip and do 5 stitches for our 3rd row. And flip again and do 5 stitches into our 4th row. If it wants to cooperate, there we go. And then flip, and this time we're going to reduce 2 stitches into 1, so 1, and go into our 2nd stitch, 2, and then do 1, 2, and 3. And then we kind of have his little tail, which we'll add to the back, just with our hooks here. So our yarn needle. Basically, I just want to you can also keep making this wider and fold it in half if you want something a little sturdier. I'm just going to go into the back and weave back and forth between the tail and the body. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with my yarn here today. You want to just work your way across here till you get to the other side, and then I like to now go the same with this one, weaving across so it is nice and secure on there. And once you do that, we will tie in our ends here. And once that is all done, you have your little white Totoro. I will say his eyes are not quite right. I don't know what's wrong with them necessarily. Might be the size, it might be these without like the whites around his eyes or something, but I think his shape's pretty good. I just think his eyes are a little off. So if you have a better way to do his eyes, I would definitely recommend that. But he is an easier version of the Totoros I've done so far. If you want to start with this one and move on to the other two, I have those tutorials that I'll try and link down below. If not, they are in my on my page where you can do the blue one as well as the big gray one. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you make this, you should definitely tag me on Instagram or send me a picture on my Instagram as well. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!